Welcome back to Story Mode. It's 1986 and the arcade giant Sega make a video game console. Its name, the Sega Master System. I just had to have one. What an amazing year 1986 was, but for some reason I don't remember much of the music, only Wang Chung, Berlin, Peter Gabriel and Europe. But it's quite the opposite when it comes to movies, there was a ton of them. And my favourite movie in 1986 was Star Trek: The Voyage Home.
Watch where you're going, you dumbass! Well, double dumbass on you!
Yes, 1986 had a smorgasbord of amazing movies, but there's something else that 1986 gave me personally, and that is the Sega Master System. This Master System here is the very Master System I bought in 1986. Well, my grandfather bought it for me. Kind of a late or early birthday present, I can't remember. All I remember, it was in December and it was in 1986.
Sega's already brought you more than 100 super tough games straight off the streets, like Indiana Jones, Operation Wolf, Ultima 4, Paperboy, and Super Monaco Grand Prix.
Many people think the Sega Master System came out to Australia in 1987, but it in fact came out late 1986 and was distributed by KidsBiz. I remember my grandfather buying this Sega Master System in a shop known as Toy World. I remember seeing the box up there and noting that it come with this game Transbot. Now the two games I bought for the Sega Master System was Black Belt and the classic Space Harrier. And at that time Sega were my favourite company in the arcade. Now there's a bit of a story with this Sega Master System itself. And that is when I bought the system and the two games, we were driving home, and as like any kid, you're excited, you want to open the box in the car. Well, I didn't do that, but I had it on my lap. I ran into my grandparents' house. I was staying there on the weekend, and their TV was too old. It had an antenna with the two Y connections, and this has the circular RF plug. I thought, oh no, what am I going to do? And my uncle had a small black and white TV. So my first memory of playing the Master System was in black and white on this small TV. Now this is my biggest memory of this console, and it's got nothing to do with the console itself, was watching A Nightmare on Elm Street. It happened to be on TV, and as I said, this was late 1986, and it was A Nightmare on Elm Street Part 1, and well, it was for TV, so they had a lot of the bad bits cut out of it. And I remember having nightmares that night, and I got up in the morning and my uncle come to the rescue and made a contraption where I could hook it up to the normal TV, the colour TV, and the first time I saw Black Belt and Space Harrier, I just thought, this is it. This is the greatest day of my life. Now I always consider the Sega Master System my first true console. Look, I love the Atari 2600, but this console took me to another level, as did many consoles that follow. But this was the first console that had graphics similar to the arcade. And because I was always playing arcade games, I never really got into the Nintendo Entertainment System. That's because there were no Sega arcade games on Nintendo. Well, there are Afterburner and Shinobi, but they're not direct licensed ports. And this console was going to have them all. Now the other thing that got me into the Sega Master System was the way it looked. This is the power base, and well, look at it. It looks fantastic. It definitely is something from the 80s with these sharp angles, looks space age, and that's the thing I loved about Sega, their console designs. Next to the NES, it's just art. Now the other thing the Sega Master System had in its favour was sales in Australia. It actually was selling quite well, with a fairly big library, bigger than America. In fact, more than double the size of the American library. Even Japan had under 100 games. It seemed like Europe and Australia would benefit from this system. The only disadvantage I had with this system was buying games for it. Some games were $60 and some games were $80. Now that's a lot of money in 1986 for a 12-year-old. So I would always go back to my Commodore 64. Well, there you have it, the Sega Master System, my entry into the world of Sega, my absolutely #1 favourite console company, and possibly my #1 favourite arcade company next to Capcom. What I had to work out was how to get games cheaper, and well, you'll find that out in the next chapter.